He said, at Anand Murthy is so liberal, it drives me nuts. Listening to group chat, he's a classic snowflake that can't engage in a political conversation and admit see flaws inside the Democratic Party agenda and ideology.
Have you headed over to TikTok too?
I have. I'm not the most popular guy on TikTok.
Don't worry, go to YouTube as well.
I have not gotten to YouTube.
You know what I realized? We'll get into your rebuttal shortly, but it's funny, like kind of being centered to the right is cool now.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat, #1 podcast in the world. We have an action-packed episode. We told you what the CPI was going to be. You should have traded off our incredible prediction. We're spot right. Unfortunately, we thought the stock market would go up. Didn't really.
Modestly.
Modest go up. We're also talking about Elon and his big appearance at the Chase Center. Some people say booze. Some people say cheers.
I say booze.
You say booze. We're also talking about Anand and how he's a liberal snowflake. And basically, he's pissed off a lot of people on the internet. And since we don't really put our name anywhere on social media by design, they just call him the Hat. So I'm sure when you walk around town today, like, oh, you're the Hat. You're the liberal snowflake Hat. You should go to a really conservative part of town. You should head on to Newport Beach this weekend, wear the hat from TikTok, and see what happens.
Probably get punched in the face.
Probably will get punched in the face. And then we talk about M&A action. Private equity is getting hot in the space. So we're going to talk about that. And then SBF finally getting arrested. We're talking some PPP action, a lot of fraud, used car prices down. And then we end on TikTok. Lawmakers are gaining steam here. So let's get into it. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the biggest liberal snowflake podcast in the world.
I love it.
So Anand got a comment from...
Let's read it.
Yeah, from a Twitter user. And it's obviously a listener of the podcast, anonymous. Let's hear it.
So the Twitter handle is @FinanceSpread.
Okay.
I offended @FinanceSpread.
Yes.
He said, at Anand Murthy is so liberal, it drives me nuts. Listening to group chat, he's a classic snowflake that can't engage in a political conversation and admit see flaws inside the Democratic Party agenda and ideology.
Have you headed over to TikTok too?
I have. I'm not the most popular guy on TikTok.
Don't worry, go to YouTube as well.
I have not gotten to YouTube.
You know what I realized? We'll get into your rebuttal shortly, but it's funny, like kind of being centered to the right is cool now.
Yes.
Where like 3-4 years ago, being liberal was cool. Mm-hmm. So if you're just like, if you're just trying to be on trend culturally, like, you want, you're wearing your New Balance shoes, whatever the on trend brands are. One of the things on trend is being centered to the right. Mm-hmm. I think is even on TikTok, the amount of like pretty conservative stuff I'll get served. And I look at the comments, it's incredibly positive.
The TikTok comments are the best because
they don't have context.
Yeah, and
you're just some clip.
I'm just some clip, and they just kept calling me the Hat.
Yeah,
the hat has no idea what he's talking
Don't
about.
worry, we're getting our big hats. They're coming, and so you can once you get the big hat, then it'll be.
I mean, I've said this point like the last 3 podcasts. Conservative media is the mainstream media.
Yeah.
They just released the top radio shows in America. So we already know the cable shows are all conservative.
Yeah.
Learn Everything on Facebook's conservative. Tucker, Ben Shapiro. The top radio show in the country is Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
The number 2 one is Clay and Buck, which replaced Rush Limbaugh. They're as conservative as it gets. So It doesn't matter if you're, getting your media through social media or through driving in a car. It's conservative.
So if you would say...
That's why I think the right has had turned what happened in 2016 into this massive problem. Because correct, in 2016, I would say liberal media was the leading media. It's changed massively.
Yeah, I think the thing is that narrative is working still.
Even though that they control the airwaves every which way.
Yes. It's like, when you, like, I have some...
It's like, I mean, I love LeBron. It's like him calling himself Washed King. Like, no one thinks he's Washed King.
Yeah.
But that's his narrative.
A lot of people, it's self-deprecating. It's like, it works. There's people that I know that are extremely wealthy in the apparel industry that will just be like, man, it's been a really tough year. And, it's been really
you ask
challenging.
anyone in the clothing industry, it's like, God willing, I can, we're fine.
Inshallah.
Yeah, that's it.
And but yeah, I think
they probably like bought 3 apartment buildings and a warehouse and everything.
Yeah, like we have especially LA Shmata business. Everyone is just struggling always. They're the record year, and they'd be like, yes, but I had to pay people more money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you think about it from a perspective standpoint, what you see is claiming that liberal mainstream media is the problem is a great tactic. But what's interesting is I remember early in this podcast success, I would, if I said something that leaned a little more right than normal, I would get called out in my DMs about it. Now I do not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, one, maybe they just don't care anymore. 2, or they stop listening. 2, I also think that there's probably instances where people in general have just moved to the center in the country. I think on both sides. I think obviously with the midterms, what you saw was no one likes the
extremes on either side.
Right? They're both struggling.
But that's what's interesting to me, because if you look at Twitter, you look at what is talked about on Fox News, Sean Hannity, all these radio shows and publications, it didn't pan out in the midterms.
Yeah.
They were calling for a red tsunami. The left is toast, but the voters didn't reflect the media, which I thought was interesting.
I actually think if I were to think about it more macro, is I think there's a general distrust of media, period, now. Mm-hmm. And I think you still, maybe there's record viewership and record listenership for everything, but I think people are more discerning in the way they view the world when it comes to like how it affects their life, because there's been too many instances where we just blindly followed like, what mainstream media told us, whether it's conservative or liberal, and you kind of got fucked. Yeah. And you're just like, I'm not listening to these guys. So I'm going to make the decision that's best. This is like my political view on everything is I'm going to make the best decision from now on that is best for me and my family. I am not in a position to govern for all. So I'm going to do what I think is best on a daily basis that will have an impact on my life.
Yeah, I think what happened is the 30% of the country that's fully MAGA, Trump, I think those media publications were able to grab more viewership from that 30%.
Yeah.
So they weren't tuning in, and then they saw what happened, and
it's good business.
Last 3 years, and they started tuning in, because while they have the biggest viewerships and audio listeners, the voters are saying a very different thing, and they're saying it different to both sides. Like, we want more centrist people. Social causes matter.
Yeah.
Abortion matters.
Yeah.
And I think voters spoke.
Yeah. And but I do think in general, like on all sides, what you're seeing, even just by the comments, because 3 years ago, we wouldn't have gotten those comments.
No. And it's funny that I'm the liberal snowflake, and I'm the person that goes after Elizabeth Warren, AOC, and Bernie the most.
You're a snowflake. These people have spoken.
And I'm a capitalist. I wanted Amazon to build in New York City. Was it the Bronx? Or was it Brooklyn?
No, it was in Manhattan.
Or Manhattan. I wanted Amazon to come to New York.
Yeah. Those
are snowflake ideas now.
Now you're
So what happens when they hear Ari talk?
Oh, Ari would get eviscerated
Ari
on TikTok.
probably have like a hit on him.
Yeah, they would whack him. You can't be posting your liberal views on TikTok anymore.
Or any social media.
Here's the reality is like, specifically TikTok more so than I think Twitter is definitely way older of an audience than TikTok. Like I don't think 16-year-olds on TikTok. I mean Twitter like they are on TikTok. There's obviously plenty of 16-year-olds on Twitter, but I don't think that's where they lean. They go. But what you do see is like there's this one kid I always get served. He's clearly like a young white conservative kid, and he just goes up to people at like Walmart and Target and be like, "Who'd you vote for?" And if they say Biden, he just attacks them basically. Not attack, but questions their decisions. He's very calm and he actually does it in a very good way. But the goal is basically...
Where do you get served this?
What? On TikTok.
So you're full conservative TikTok.
Well, I get everything. I get a little bit of everything. Like I basically only get Central C. I get served Central C a lot because I like his music.
Okay.
The artist. I get Indian fob comics.
Yep.
A ton of Indian fob comics, and they're hilarious.
That probably got the algorithm from finding Nimesh, right?
Yeah, that was the first one that I...
But he's not a fob, but yeah. And then they just were
I
like, oh, you like brown guys.
Yeah, I love it. So that's a big... And then I get a lot of like... If I get young people content, besides like the typical dancing trends or whatever, I get a lot of this like interview content, whether it's like about sports, music or whatever. But then this kid... but it's interesting like how many kids just... I think they don't understand context. So they just say, yeah, Trump, 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 Trump.
I also think this is the danger of Elon is that when Elon for the youth is as cool as it gets, right?
Yeah.
Kids love him. And when he says vote Republican, he's influencing them.
Yeah, of course.
Now that Kanye's like pretty much been sidelined, Elon's next to these kids.
Yeah.
And that's why the right, quote unquote, is like trending. I guarantee you that had a massive impact on young people on TikTok calling me a snowflake. The hat.
Yeah, the hat.
The hat has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, the hat's good. What's interesting is we're talking about Elon. So Elon was a surprise guest at the Chase Center for Dave Chappelle. Was it Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle or just Dave Chappelle?
Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. I had friends at the stadium. It was at the Chase Center in San Francisco. So it wasn't really a surprise guest. Elon was just sitting in the front row.
Oh, he was there.
And Dave thought it was a flex.
Yeah.
Chappelle like, oh, let me bring Elon up and I'm so cool. I got Elon Musk on stage.
Yeah.
What happened?
So he got booed. I watched the full video. I thought it was going to be way worse. Frankly.
The people that my friends who were there said it was bad.
Yeah. But I don't know. I expected like it, but it sounded, I heard some cheers too. Like I didn't hear like full. It wasn't like if I don't know, Chase Center's where the Warriors play, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the Lakers were there, the booing would be worse.
Sure. But from my friends who were there, they said it was so awkward.
Yeah.
And they said,
I think it was very awkward.
And Chappelle had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And Chappelle, who's like one of the greatest on-stage presences of all time, was even like flustered. And then there's a clip of Elon saying, I'm rich, bitch.
Yeah.
Because he's getting booed.
Yeah.
See, this kind of fuckery is stupid.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing is that like the one city that I think Elon is persona non grata is San Francisco.
But everyone there worships him.
No, but the difference is he
my friends in the stadium worship Elon Musk still.
Okay, were they cheering?
I don't know. They're not. They're not cheers or booers.
Yeah. Okay, they're Indian. I'm not a cheerer. I'm Indian. But I think Elon has made such a tremendous impact. And the last 30 days with the Twitter firings, he shook the core of the city. And he basically is calling out. And what's happening is quietly founders are like, this guy can't have the company and it's kind of whatever. Yeah. And I think it is, San Francisco is still extremely liberal, very left leaning on most political views. I think the Twitter takeover and the layoffs were very impactful for locals. Because I think it is going to have a profound impact on...
If it works, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it'll take so long to find out if it works that I think either way, companies are like, yeah, you mean, they're liquidating like the espresso machine and the sign. You can buy all that shit of their offices because they're like, why do we need all this stuff?
Right.
So I think what's happened is it always, this is 100% always the case. Very wealthy people and often very famous wealthy people are always out of touch. And that is the knock on famous wealthy people, is that they are not in touch with anything normally. Dave Chappelle, extremely wealthy, floats around in like the most elite of Hollywood circles, right? He does live in Ohio, which should give him some context on like what the common person is thinking. I think the problem, and to me, this is Dave Chappelle's fault for bringing Elon on stage. He should have kind of thought, if he had brought Elon out in Dallas or Austin,
yeah.
Either one of those,
wherever he moved Tesla to, right?
Yeah, I think it's a completely different reaction, and I think it's cheering, and the internet's like, "Oh my God, Elon's so popular." Or if you brought him out, I mean, I don't know what it would have been in his hometown of Ohio. Like, would people have like been like, "Oh my God, Elon's there"? Like, whatever. I don't.
They
know.
might not have cared, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, sure, maybe that's the case, but like the fact that like in San Francisco, and it did, in my opinion, did do damage to his reputation because it did make him feel like not invincible.
Yeah, I think Elon's teetering right now in the sense that he runs all these important businesses across so many different industries.
Yeah.
He's not the richest man in the world.
No, we'll get to that.
Dave Chappelle is wrong on that.
Yeah.
But he's drunk with the fame.
Yeah.
And he's tweeting nonstop. And we've seen this happen in history so many times. When people get addicted to the fame, they fall apart.
Yep.
Kanye did, not comparing Elon to Kanye.
Yep.
But Kanye definitely fell apart. You see it with famous actors. You see it with a lot of famous people. There's very few people like Jay-Z that just like coast through being like one of the most famous people in the world. And like, you really don't, like, he doesn't falter. Like,
Yep.
Jay-Z hasn't faltered.
No.
And Elon's a business person first, not an artist or someone that's used to fame.
Not a public figure.
Right.
First.
He didn't start out as a public figure.
Yeah.
And it kind of really happened quickly.
Yeah.
Like 5-6 years ago, no one really cared about Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But if he like walked the streets, but now I bet you it'd be a frenzy. If he like walked through Century City Mall or the Grove, it'd be bananas.
Yeah. He's one of the most famous people on
And
Earth
it
now.
happened so quickly. And now it's like amplified in the last 6 months to like just craziness. I think Rogan was the first one to put him into fame.
Yeah.
And then it's just been a straight climb. And people don't handle fame well. And I don't think Elon's handling fame well.
No, I would agree with that. And I think
And this is irrespective of his political beliefs and the way he's running Twitter.
Yeah.
He just seems like a loose cannon.
Yeah, he's erratic. And this is the problem with, you know, if you handle fame really, really well, you also have a great team that helps you handle fame really, really well. You have the publicist and the attorneys and the friends that are coaching you through this process. And, you know, the people that typically have done from a fame level really, really well are guarded and protected.
And and it's been a long journey.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like the overnight fame, like Justin Bieber. Love Justin Bieber. It's the fame has definitely affected his life in a negative way.
Yeah.
He like talks about it.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, his fame is a little different than Elon's kind of fame. And I think for Elon Musk, I don't know if you can reel it back in at this point, because the problem is if you reel it back in and let's say you tone it down, your options are very simple. Go silent and just get back to work and don't worry about don't give opinion on anything. Or you have to come to the center on the way you kind of handling things, but then you may look weak to all these people who just are now new fans of yours. He's in a tough predicament. I think the right move is silence, is like basically delete Twitter off his phone and be a only fact-driven, matter of fact. Hey, we just launched these rockets for SpaceX. We're launching self-driving software update. And by the way, Twitter has these 3 new features. That's it. And do not give any opinion on anything.
And the problem, I would suspect, obviously we don't know him, but it's not like he has like the childhood friends that could keep him in check.
Yeah.
It's all business people that want a piece of Elon's money.
Yeah.
They want the Boring Company IPO. They want
SpaceX is about to raise at $140 billion valuation. It's an up round.
And everyone wants their SPVs in these companies.
Yeah.
Everyone wants no one's telling Elon the real truth of what he's doing.
No.
Because everyone's on the take.
Yeah.
And it's not like...
Well, the good news for him is on his platform, people are telling him something otherwise.
Like, but the people that he's, talking to privately, helping him shape all these businesses don't give a shit what the public thinks. They're like, how do I get a piece of the next business you're going to create?
Yeah, and I think
that's what's dangerous about what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because no one's checking him.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be interested to see really the next... The biggest tipping point for me is Tesla stock. That's it. If that stock continues to struggle, he'll be in a tough spot. So the stock is down now, off its highs, way off its highs, and it was one of those companies that was kind of hanging in there. But market cap is now $500 billion. The stock is at $160. It was at a all-time high of 400.
That's split adjusted.
Yeah, split adjusted. And, it's down 28% since he took over Twitter. If Tesla stock goes down another 50%, which is possible, then he's in a really tough spot.
That's where the money is.
Yeah. And he's in a tough spot because the mood turns on you quick. Banks turn on you, investors turn on you. And as we know, people are quick to turn on you once you're no longer valuable to them.
Once you're not making the money.
Yeah, I mean, look at SBF. Everyone's throwing SBF under the bus. Like, that is the worst person on earth.
Yeah, when everyone was, printing money on Tesla options and, it's been a straight rocket ship for the last decade. Yeah. Or whatever. It's bumpy, but everyone made money.
Yeah. He's one of the better performing companies of the last decade. So we'll have to see. What's interesting is, one of the things we talked about last episode was, what will the CPI print be? I think we guessed it right.
Yeah, 7.1.
7.1. And early hours, I was up really early today. Market was way up. 700-800 points on the Dow, 400 points on NASDAQ. And it was like, boom, we're back. And then by the end of the day, it kind of faltered.
Yeah, it petered out.
And I think people realize is inflation's still pretty high.
I also think so it's the conundrum, right? Like, the Fed wants a shitty economy so they can stop raising rates. But then once you get a shitty economy, you get shitty earnings. Yeah. So then companies are going to have to pay the price both 2 times. Yeah. Because you're paying the price because the Fed's raised all these rates. Then you're going to pay the price because your earnings are down. Yeah. And then the Fed will force to cut rates. So I'm of the view that we're just going to bounce around till the Fed cuts. There's banks calling for S&P 3,200. We're at 3,900 right now. That'd be catastrophic. I don't think we get there.
Yeah, maybe. The thing is it takes a long time because we're not in like a tremendous amount of pain in the economy yet. Mm-hmm. Right. There's a lot of signals everywhere, right? Used car prices are down, energy is finally down, but food inflation was still up in this month. I think it was 0.5%. Services are still up. Rent, I think we'll start seeing to taper now. So until we start seeing real fucking pain, I just don't think we have to see the pain, live the pain, then we can go back up. It's not a V. No. It's a U. And so we're just on this slow ride of like, we're not going to just whipsaw back. Not this time for sure. Because there's no levers.
No, the only lever is Fed cutting rates in the first 6 months of next year.
Yeah. And so I would say all the positive news that's out there is this was a little bit better than expected. Energy prices are dropping. Huge. We were starting to see housing finally slow down. I saw markets like in Dallas and stuff, prices are coming down, which that's kind of surprising. And then I think the encouraging news is Hong Kong looks like has now lifted no quarantine, which we know Hong Kong is controlled by mainland China. Yep. So that means that mainland China is on the path My guess is they stay pretty strict through Chinese New Year. I think they don't want people just completely losing their shit over Chinese New Year. And then out of Chinese New Year, which will be end of Feb, that like they start loosening restrictions.
Remember when I don't know if we talked about it in the pod, but I definitely texted you in one of the group chats that once President Xi consolidated Emperor for life, that was what he was waiting for, and then he was going to start opening up. And you called me tinfoil hat. The hat.
The hat.
A lot of hats.
The hat.
I have a lot of hats.
So we'll see. That could be what happens. So the two biggest things that no one can control that could have a major positive impact or negative impact are if China opens up. China opening up is huge for the whole world. Or if they go stricter on the lockdowns, that's catastrophic. And the war in Russia and Ukraine. If that escalates, that could be terrible. If that de-escalates, that would be really, really good. So those are the levers that are left. It's clear inflation is cooling off on because of the interest rates. Labor market will definitely continue to be tough. Like it should, we should continue to see some layoffs in some particular parts. So momentum wise, like the Fed's getting what they want. I don't think it's happening fast enough though.
Yeah, and I think everyone is forecasting recession to threaten the fret. Don't over complicate the problem.
Yeah, I just don't see, there's no world where I see they're cutting interest rates next year.
Oh, I think the first half they cut. That's my prediction.
I don't think they do anything. I think it's end of next year earliest. I think they'll just wait it out.
Good bet.
Yeah. I think they need to see pain.
I think you're going to see pain in the first quarter of next year.
Maybe. You don't see any pain right now.
No. We'll see this earnings season.
Yeah. The problem is you need layoffs. Until you see layoffs, it doesn't matter.
The issue is the layoffs in the grand scope of the workforce doesn't dent. Like Facebook laying off 11,000 employees doesn't matter.
Forget tech layoffs. You need Tyson Foods.
50,000.
Yeah. Walmart.
They won't. Walmart won't because they don't even have enough labor.
Yeah. That's my point. So there's not going to be any of these signals that gives the Fed confidence to like cut interest rates.
Yeah, I don't think the Fed understands the new economy either.
Yeah. That's my point. I don't think they care. I think they'll just leave it and the pain will I think it'll take time.
Yep.
So we'll have to wait and see. The other I thought was huge news yesterday was, this is on Monday, there were 3 publicly traded companies that got taken out on M&A. Mm-hmm. 2 of them were private equity, right? And one was Amgen, which is a private company. The big one was Horizon Therapeutics. It's a biotech company. I think it got bought for $18 billion.
Yep.
Then Thomas Bravo, a private... What?
I think it's Thoma Bravo.
Whatever.
No S. Drop the S.
Okay, Thoma. It looks like Thomas.
But yeah, it's Thoma.
There's no S?
There's no S. Check.
Okay. Oh yeah, Thoma Bravo. Okay, whatever. Drop the S. Where's the S? Who's Thoma? Bought Coupa Software, which no idea what that is. But they bought it for $8 billion. And basically everyone like lost their shit over this acquisition.
Yep. Because
it does $700 million in revenue and got bought for $8 billion. So I think that was the signal that, is that the new valuation of software companies?
Yeah. So at the peak of the pandemic, when crazy shit was happening, private companies were raising at 100x ARR. 100.
Mm-hmm.
This company's public and it's trading at 10.
Yeah. It lost money. It lost the last quarter $84 million. But this is probably your, run-of-the-mill software company, probably metrics. And so it's getting bought at 11 times revenue, forward revenue, right?
Yeah, this is scary for private tech companies in the growth stage because No one's taken their medicine yet because they all raised so much money in 2021,
So they can
and they
stomach
haven't
it.
had to, step up to the plate and see what they're really worth. And no one is. I don't know anyone that is like has remarked. I think Instacart's the only one because they're trying to go public. But there was 700 unicorns created in 2021. 700.
Yeah. Is that a lot?
What's that?
Is that a lot?
That is a lot. Unicorns are companies over $1 billion, worth $1 billion. So those valuations need to come down 80, 90%.
So there's a tweet. So Cooley, the law firm, very famous technology focused law firm, released this data. Median valuations from Q1 to Q3 2022. So Series A went from 58 million in Q2 to 45 million in Q3, which is, it's down, but it's still it's like in 15-20%. Series B went from 164 million in Q2 to 90 million in Q3.
It's a big cut.
Big. That's like 40 something percent. Series C went from 500 million to 130 million. That's insane.
Yep.
And here's the death blow. Series D went from 3.5 billion to 527 million. The speed at which this thing is correcting is insane.
And this is with none of the high profile names that we all heard about having to raise yet.
Yeah.
These are companies that needed the money
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Maybe their burn was too high. They
Yeah.
were at risk of like going into bankruptcy. And yeah, I think Silicon Valley is very different all through 2023. And it's going to get really ugly for private tech companies.
Yeah, definitely. Even if you're in any sector, look, I looked at Coinbase today. The stock went down again. It's a $10 billion market cap. To put into perspective, I was just joking around with a friend on Twitter. Burlington is worth $13 billion.
Yeah.
I think like the fact that Coinbase is worth 10 billion basically tells you like if you're a private company and your last round was over 10 billion,
You're worth one.
yeah, you're fucked.
Yes.
And I know
And all these guys got free debt too. So a lot of the companies are like at risk of bankruptcy because every company in 2021, they were raising like 700 million, then another 400 million in debt because debt was 1% and they don't have to take the dilution.
Yeah.
And now their businesses don't work.
I think the people that are going to win here, I think private equity, sleepy old private equity is going to clean the fuck up.
Yes, they're going to clean up.
Because they have I think some of them, they have the most dry powder because a private equity fund is like 10 times the size of a venture fund in most cases.
And they weren't doing deals because the valuations were too
Yeah,
crazy.
they just were criticizing how stupid these deals are. Historically, maybe this Toma guy was big in software. We know Vista Equity has massive,
I think $20 billion fund. It's bigger than any venture fund.
and they're, I'm sure, chomping at the bit. And I think they're going to go in, they're going to cut the fat. Because genuinely speaking, there's a lot of really great products out there.
It's not like these companies don't work.
Yeah.
They just don't work at the cost structure that they have.
And they're going to come in, gut them, put the old gray-haired CEO in, and go take it back to the public markets in 2 years and make a killing.
Yeah, that's what they're really good at.
Yeah. I mean, private equity, Wall Street must be just salivating right now.
Especially because they
were the butt of jokes.
They were getting their tech folks were thumbing their nose at them like, look at us, we're so rich.
Yeah.
Basically, if you were a late stage company and you didn't get out in 2021, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Even if like I'm a Coinbase investor, the stock's down 90%, but at least they're public.
Yeah. You could get liquidity if you need it.
You get liquidity if you need it. And if whenever crypto winter ends and this guy's in jail for life, I think things will turn around.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it basically tracks Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if it, has a good 6 months, it'll pick up.
Yeah. So, I mean, but even every company, you had to go public in 2021. I can't believe some of these companies, like Stripe could have gone public.
Yeah. Go Puff.
GoPuff could have.
That was a big one.
Stripe, sure, it'd be down 70%, but then they could just ride out the next wave. Because public companies, it's really clear. Fed cuts, you go up.
Yeah.
Fed raises rates, you go down. Your business is actually almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
Is what we've seen in the last 12 years. So yeah, if the Fed takes the end of next year, that's when companies will go up.
Yeah.
It's the only place where large capital allocators can invest.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't invest in the private market.
No.
I think once private equity finds out that Stripe is a payment processor, oh my God, do you know the markdown that's going to be? That company will
What's their latest mark? Like 80 or 100 billion?
No, it's 60 billion. It got marked down 30%.
Yeah. They were the golden child.
Yeah. I mean, that company's not worth $60 billion.
No.
And no, they're a payment processor.
Yeah.
They'd have to invent some very innovative products to prove there's something other than that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you better have a real business.
I'm
not saying they don't have a real business,
Yeah.
but you have to have actual moats.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think what's the public market comp of them? Aiden or whatever that's called? What's that worth nowadays?
Yeah, fintech's a wrap.
48 billion Aiden's worth. And apparently everyone says it's a better business and it's profitable.
Yeah.
So
scary season.
Yeah, I think that the fintech's also really, really challenged because of higher interest rates. It's really hard to do buy now, pay later if interest rates get to like 5%.
Yeah, then pay later is tough.
Yeah. Buy now, you pay the fuck now.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be called. It's going to be tough.
So how'd Shein get $100 billion valuation?
Fleeced them. It's good old fleecing.
And that's probably secondary.
Yeah. What do they need $1 billion for?
We don't even know where the guy is.
It's unbelievable. This is like unbelievable that Shein got $100 billion valuation in this market. They must be selling some dream that we can fathom what they're selling. All right, let's move on to the big news of the day. Sam Bankman-Fried finally arrested by the Bahamian authorities.
At the request of the United States.
At the request of the United States, Southern District of New York took their sweet little time.
I mean, they have to have their ducks in line.
Yeah.
Like, they can't just...
I was watching the hearing today of the current FTX CEO, and they're like ripping this guy. And he's like, bro, I just showed up. What are you talking to me about?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, have you heard of Enron? Or, stupid questions.
Yeah,
like
this is where politicians get to grandstand.
But I'll tell you, they are definitely united. This thing is going to be, they're going to gut this fucking guy to death.
Yeah, he's on the current counts, he's facing 115 years.
He's getting 150.
He's never seeing the light of day.
Never.
But I just saw he's trying to get bail, and so he could be under house arrest.
Yeah, his lawyer requested $250,000 bail.
And he claims he claimed he only had $100,000 left.
Yeah.
This is wild. And this is when
and he has $225 million of Bahamian realty.
Wait, has how much?
$225 million. I don't know if it's FTX or him personally.
It's all commingled. That's
Yeah.
the problem. That's
Yeah.
part of the fraud.
Yeah.
This is where the conservative media was like, oh, he greased the politicians, the news anchors. He's going to get away with it. He didn't get away with shit. He's going to jail.
I think what he got away with is that no one looked at him for a long time until if CZ had not called the bluff,
it would have lasted longer.
It would have lasted longer.
It would eventually, I don't know if it's next year, 2 years, 5 years.
Or if crypto had bounced back, maybe never.
Yeah, fair.
But
the ego and just sociopath nature of this guy, he would have just escalated the crime.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been worth $26 billion. He'd want to worth hundreds of billions.
Yeah.
He'd want to be Elon.
I was one of the Republican Congress people was like, I never believed in crypto. It's for terrorists.
The real losers, and this is the only people I feel bad about, because he fleeced a bunch of sophisticated investors that made a fortune in the last decade.
Yeah,
don't give a shit about them. It's the customers.
Yeah.
That's why this is going down, and it happened quickly. I'm surprised how quickly it happened. I know everyone's was like, how is he still like doing conferences and Zooms? Like the Southern District of New York, it's the most aggressive government attorneys in America, and they're not going to mess around. They got to make sure that there's no flaws in whatever they're charging with, make sure they have all their evidence, and it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What was this? Like, are we even like 5 weeks out of this?
No. I don't think 5 weeks.
Yeah.
No. I think we're just in a right now culture. So, you know, it was so infuriating to see. And I think the way this guy was acting on top of it.
Yeah.
I think that's
and
what
the fact that everyone was letting
just flip it. He's in a balcony in his shorts, just walk around like
do they come after Kevin O'Leary's $15 million that he got paid?
I mean,
I know they
might go after
he fleeced
everything.
Billions. They may recover millions.
I mean, just, you know, they've recovered basically everything from Bernie. It's like 90-something% recovery rate.
No, but there was losses, right?
Investor losses.
Yeah.
But anyone who invested money got their fucking money back.
I think if you were early,
They
clawed back early investors. I know that.
If you had profits, you couldn't have profited, but your principal, you got your
But
money.
how'd they get the money back? From who?
They got it back. It's
I don't know
back.
if that's true.
I have two friends have gotten 95% of their money back.
Because they were probably early on the scheme. So they were already in the profit version. Because the last set of investors weren't in the profit version.
So maybe it depends where you were on the stack.
Yeah, that's.
But I've heard a very high recovery rate for Bernie Madoff.
If you were early, I believe that.
Even if you're late, I think you got some money back. It's not you
But
got
who did it
donated.
come from?
It came.
It doesn't just magically come.
Someone got it. I don't know where it came from, but it came.
Right.
We'll see. Here's
this you can't get the money. It's gone.
Yeah.
You lost it all.
There's got to be assets.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
$220 million of
How
real
much
estate.
customer money did he actually lose? Customer money. Not, I know the total is 8 billion, 10 billion, whatever.
So, I mean,
is it $1 billion of deposits, 2 billion of
I
deposits?
think it's a few billion in deposits.
Okay. So we know there's some real estate.
Yeah, I think
There's
you'll get
assets.
10 cents on the dollar if you're
I
a
think it'll be
customer.
more. I think people get more. If you got your money taken, I'd keep an eye on it. I think if there's paperwork to fill out, I'd fill it all out.
Yeah, of course. Even if you get 10 cents on the dollar, great.
Yeah, I think you'll get more. And then
I
the
hope
interest,
so. I just don't know where it's coming from.
it's coming.
Just like the Bernie money.
Yeah. So I was following this Twitter thread on over the weekend, and one of the things it was around the PPP and EIDL, which was the Economic Injury Disaster Loans. The SBA Inspector General has identified that $78 billion was potentially fraudulent in the COVID relief program, just on the EIDL loans. The Secret Service believes it's near $100 billion. And the basic scheme is what their reporting was. People went on state websites and took the names of existing businesses or registered new fake ones. No, there was no security. There was no validation of any information. And voila, you have company ABC with 40 employees and a payroll of 10 million. And you went and applied for a $10 million PPP loan and you got it.
Yeah, I mean, we applied. There was very little verification of anything. We did everything by the book.
Yeah. And it was pulling teeth to get the fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
And the paperwork we had to provide to get it relieved was very in depth. So how is everyone getting away with this?
No, I think the first step is they got the money.
And then when you had to actually provide the backup,
yeah, they're gone.
because it's literally like for us, we use a payroll service like a TriNet. TriNet has to submit the information directly to them. So there's no lying around that. If you're a big company, you probably use a payroll processor like an ADP or a TriNet. I don't understand how people were thinking they're going to get away with that piece. And so one of the people tweeted this out, and they did not give backup. So I'm not going to, I don't know where they got this information from, but they said after the dust settled, it was calculated out that the PPP program saved a total of 2.3 million jobs at a cost of $286,000 per job. So if you were to do like a post-mortem on the relief, I think the right thing would have been to backstop everyone's payroll 100%.
Right. Okay.
Just say we will back the businesses. Every payroll period, you pay, we reimburse. You pay, we reimburse. Or they pay directly to your payroll processing company or whatever. Like, I don't know how it would have been done. I think like
it was just ripe for fraud because businesses are too complicated. Everyone uses a different payroll service. Everyone uses different banks. There's regional banks.
Yeah.
And so there was nothing streamlined, and the money needed to be deployed so quickly to save the economy.
So the first tranche, yes. I'm okay with...
Because they were blindly giving money in the first tranche.
The first tranche, I get it. It was fucking panic. We didn't know what to do. Fuck it. Just do it. Get the money out there. There were so many different pockets and tranches of money that had been given out after the first tranche.
Right.
That could have been
they just didn't have the systems to verify anything. If you really want to do the postmortem, is what is the government going to do right now when we're in quote unquote peacetime, where everything's kind of running?
Yeah, build the systems now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Give it to Coupa Software. What do they do?
Toma.
Boy. Call Toma up. But yeah, I mean, I think this is what we have to really think through is like, where should the investments? This should be a public-private partnership with one, I think, go really get in depth with all these payroll processors. I think there's a lot that if the goal is to keep people employed in the next situation like this, you go to them and figure out how to deploy capital that way.
Yeah, of course.
Then figure out all the other, because like there will be this incident again in the next 50, 100 years that we're going to have to deploy cash because there's a crisis. The way we did it was just reckless, which I think people can accept. Was at that moment, the fact that you could get money was incredible, but then we continue to give out money and it was not accounted for and not validated. That's where it gets scary.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the time the government should be working to fix it.
Yep. Used car prices. We briefly touched on this, but used car prices are down 3.3% from a year ago, but still grossly inflated. So the number is that because of the run up in prices, consumers are still paying 33% more for used cars than they would than in a normal depreciation time period, which is still insanely high. So it tells you there's a long way to go. Electric vehicle prices are down now 20% from their peak in July in the used car market.
So you got a lot of room to go there.
Yeah, so like the used car market seems like it has a ton more pain. The car market definitely has a ton more pain coming. And the big thing in the used car market is if Carvana goes bankrupt, they have to liquidate all those cars. So, which would be catastrophic for the used car market.
Who told me the story? Is it someone in here that their friend sold a car to Carvana and the check didn't cash? Someone told me that story.
Is that real? They're not
Someone
bankrupt
roaming
yet.
around the office.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. That's a big news. It's a big problem.
Yeah. Or maybe it was like some issue with the specific check. I'm not saying it's a liquidity crisis.
I'm blaming it on the seller.
Maybe. The seller went somewhere else to sell the car.
Okay. Let's see. But yeah, I just think prices are coming down across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I think the food inflation was the one thing I thought was going to be the toughest, but I think that'll lag. I think that'll take time because labor has an impact on it. And there's so many varying things that go into food inflation, supply chain, labor, freight, all of those things are now, labor is not going down. Labor is 100% going up.
Mm-hmm.
So freight's going down. Gas prices are going down. So maybe you see some relief. Rents, I think I mentioned in the last podcast, I am seeing lower rents, but it's similar to the used car market. It has to come down.
Yeah, it's like lower from the peak, but still higher from
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you a perspective in LA. I'll give you a perspective of Hollywood and West Hollywood. West Hollywood and Hollywood have a shitload of apartments being built right now. All over, like so much construction. With the amount of supply that's coming on, you should technically see some relief in rents.
The problem is the builders. So I've been told by someone who builds apartments or is in that business in Los Angeles, in any of the markets you mentioned, including Santa Monica, West Hollywood, new construction, not old construction, new construction, you need to be able to get $15,000 a unit to underwrite it profitably because of construction costs, because of land costs. It's just so expensive to build because the land itself is enormous. Then the construction costs are through the roof in this city.
So they'll just be bankruptcies. Yeah. That happened in 2008. There was a ton of real estate bankruptcies. That's all. I mean, if I was them, I would lower the fucking rent and just have some cash flow coming in because the alternative is just bankruptcy.
Yeah, we'll see. But I do see tons of buildings everywhere.
A lot of building. A lot of cranes. A lot of building. A lot of cranes. A lot of people wearing yellow hats.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. All right. This is big news. Moderna, famous mRNA cancer vaccine, is showing promise in preliminary study. Stock rocketed up 20% today. So this is skin cancer that helps ward off the recurrence of melanoma in a mid-stage trial. Huge news because skin cancer is such a big problem and affects so many people. I'm wondering, given the kind of mainstream kind of aversion to vaccines, like who the hell do you know is still taking the booster?
Very few people, but 70% I think got the first jab.
Yeah. I think when that first thing happened, but even part of the challenge is like, I think if you gave all the facts to the people, let people make their own decision. The problem with even the original vaccine, everyone was making bold statements. There are no side effects. There's nothing. There's blah, 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 blah. But there were. Some people were adversely affected. It happens. It happens with every vaccine. Mm-hmm. Just give everyone the facts, give everyone the information. And like if melanoma is something that happens in your family, your likelihood of taking it is going to be much higher than someone that maybe is like, I'll roll the dice. I'm not taking a vaccine ever again. There's plenty of people like that. And so I think I'm curious to see like Moderna's internal communications, like when they think about how do we launch a product, like what do you call it? Do you call it a vaccine still? Do you call it something else? Like it means a rebrand.
Yeah, it definitely needs a rebrand.
Vaccine in America.
It's the most polarizing thing to say.
Yeah. You're vaccinated? What?
So
if we put on TikTok right now that we're against vaccines, we'd get 1 million views and we'd be hot.
Yeah, and if you cut a clip saying I'm pro-vaccine, the hat will get roasted.
Yeah, you'll be all negative comments.
Yeah. So this is the silver lining of COVID and the pandemic, because obviously there's so much tragedy. 1 million people died in America and a lot of bad shit happened. But we fast-tracked the vaccine that Moderna had because they were the only hope at the time.
Yeah.
And that's bringing forward all this progress that we're going to see. The technology is coming. Yeah. And they solved the vaccine for COVID in January of 2020 before it even hit America. Yeah. It was a 48-hour span. They mapped it out and they were able to solve it. And then we were able to fast track it through FDA approval because so many people were dying.
Yeah.
So it got people comfortable with the technology and it gave them the ability to fast track all these other potential cures for all these deadly diseases. Yeah. And I think we're going to benefit in the future because of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we as
and if you want to watch Sean Hannity die from cancer.
Yeah. While Sean Hannity is
Has
getting
every vaccine.
Sean
possible.
Hannity is definitely getting the melanoma one because he likes to go to Turks and Caicos,
Of course.
and sit in the
Makes
sun.
40, 50 million a year.
Yeah.
He's in the sun.
Sorry, just one thing for the listeners, just a quick background story. So the mRNA technology from Moderna was a vaccine for COVID, but this vaccine is in partnership with Merck, and it's specifically for those patients who have metastatic melanoma. So the study was like a phase 2B study, and it was to see if this personalized vaccine, along with a treatment that Merck makes, will help prevent recurrence or death. And there was a 44% reduction. So one difference between the COVID vaccine and this vaccine is that it's personalized.
Yeah.
So they'll actually assess the actual tumor, and they'll develop a vaccine based on what that tumor responds
Stitch fix
to.
for vaccines.
Yep. So it's personalized therapy. So it's not something that
So they should rebrand the word. I think that's like such a. The word vaccine means Bill Gates putting a microchip.
Yeah.
That is what a general person probably thinks.
Unfortunately, the pandemic has led to.
So you deal with patients every day. You're in the pharmacy business. What's the mood on when it comes to vaccine?
I mean, at this point, the sentiment is those that are going to take it and believe in it are going to go for it on a yearly basis. Of course, there's general fatigue with the booster vaccines on an annual basis, along with like the flu vaccine that's coming out. Again, a lot of these vaccines are speculative. They're hoping that it'll help prevent any sort of severe symptoms or severe illnesses. So the biggest misconception is that this vaccine is going to completely prevent me from getting the flu, or a complete prevention of getting the COVID infection. That's not the case. It's limiting the illness and the symptoms that you'll get. So yeah, I mean, at this point,
I think that's the problem is that's not public perception.
Yeah.
So for example, if you got we got vaccinated, if I got COVID, everyone's like, it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it was not communicated properly in the first rollout of the vaccine, was that if the virus mutates, this vaccine's not as effective against the new one. It was effective against the original COVID
the problem
virus.
is the way that it was pushed to the public was kind of in a polarizing way. You have to get vaccinated. That's how we're going to save this country.
It's because of who was in charge.
Yeah.
Because he was vaccinated, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
He was vaccinated, but telling everyone it was stupid.
Yeah.
And this is the hindsight, if you really do like a post-mortem on what was going on, it's because leadership on one side was so against anything that scientists and doctors were saying that it made people on the other side go extra hard to try to be like, we got to get people to understand this. Yeah. So it created this feedback loop where one side went crazy because the other side wasn't taking it serious.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and if I said that on TikTok, I might get killed.
Yeah. Can't be a clip. All right. Well, let's move on from that. But huge news from the medical kind of frontier.
Yep.
Last but not least, our favorite topic. There's a little momentum on the ban of TikTok, and I think it's going to quietly happen.
Yep.
Lawmakers. So there was another state, I think Utah and Texas has banned TikTok on state-issued phones.
Yep.
Which isn't big, but it's something. It's just signaling that hey, we're going down this path. But there's now bipartisan support for a bill that would ban TikTok in the United States.
This is like the slow version of what the SDNY did to Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
It's coming. I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if it's the year after. But there's people who don't even follow this stuff understand that TikTok is Chinese spyware.
So we got Marco Rubio, Mike Gallagher, and Raja Krishnamurthy are all on at least the Indian probably had to go and tell them look, guys.
Yeah, this is
not a good look.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to gain steam.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when. TikTok, as it currently exists, will not be that way in a few years.
So I genuinely have not spent a lot of time on TikTok. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, really. I respond to DM, but I'm not a browser. I just haven't had the time in the last couple of years. Last night, I spent 45 minutes on TikTok. Very entertaining.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really good.
The algorithm's amazing.
Unbelievable.
You could stay on it for hours if you wanted.
I could have easily gone 6 hours on it.
Yeah.
Easily.
And your hours 5 and 6 will be better than your hours 1 and 2.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
I'll tell you it's not as a good ad product as Facebook and Instagram, mainly because as soon as I see it's an ad, I go, swipe. I don't even look at it.
Yeah, because
whereas at least on Instagram in the feed, I'd have to at least scroll by the ad to at least know what it was. I didn't watch one ad.
Even on the stories, the advertisers have gotten smart. They do like 3 ads.
Yeah.
So you have to go 1, 2. So you're at least seeing the brand.
Yeah. At least, yeah. There's some chance. TikTok, bye-bye.
But they don't need to make money, right? So it doesn't matter. It's backed by the Chinese government.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's encouraging to see that
YouTube Shorts is going to be the big winner. Because TikTok's going to be less fun. Because they're going to have to regulate.
I actually think Reels will be the bigger winner.
The algorithm sucks.
They'll get better. Hire some Chinese people.
But YouTube Shorts already has 1 billion users.
YouTube Shorts, I think the thing is like they're not going to YouTube yet for short form content. They're going for long form content. Whereas you're on Instagram for
They probably need to rebrand it. Like a Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, different.
Like YouTube has to call it something else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just call it Shorts.
But yeah, it's
I think YouTube Shorts definitely is a big winner of it. I think Instagram will continue to be a winner.
The fact that Congress even knows TikTok is bad is like pretty crazy.
They figured out, they learned this year about crypto and they learned about TikTok.
Yep.
They're basically a 15-year-old in 2017.
Exactly.
Well, best of luck, Congress. This is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be pretty devastating for kids.
Yeah. I mean, anyone sub 22.
Yeah, it's devastating. And if you have that poofy hair, what do you do with that?
Yeah, and how many people have created businesses being TikTokers?
Not many. Professional TikTokers?
Yeah, that's true.
Not that many. I think a ton of people enjoy it and get a lot of value from it and have reached things, even us, like reached an enormous audience because of it. But we know
the hat.
So if it's about to get banned, we should really just get aggressive on the content.
Yeah,
just say crazy shit on it.
It's going to take a couple years. It's not happening this year. You'll see momentum. These things take time.
I don't think it's going to take a couple years.
I think so. End of next year at the earliest.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Do we have anything else to talk about? All right.
Shout outs.
Great. We will see you back here on Thursday. Have a great hump day. Bye-bye.